Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker and company.
Hi kids, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us. That is Andrew, I'm Randy, and coming up, are the Billikens going to win the A-10 this week?
I hope.
They need to beat Loyola. Did the Blues mess up by not honoring Jack Hughes at Enterprise Center? And Cardinal broadcaster Chip Caray joins us later in the show. But let's get things started with our quick hits. And the NHL trade deadline is Friday, and the rumor mill is heating up. Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet in Canada said he thinks there's a good chance that Blues center Robert Thomas gets traded and listed Utah as a possible target. Now, Mammoth GM Bill Armstrong was Doug Armstrong's assistant GM for years here in St. Louis. Utah has a wealth of highly drafted young players. That's what the Blues want. Would the Blues trade Thomas within the division? Well, right now, Utah has 4 players that were drafted in the top 15. The Blues have been telling other teams, reportedly, that they're interested in at least 3 top 15 prospects, top 15 draft choices, top 15 players, top 15 prospects. That seems like a pretty good match. If you don't think that Robert Thomas can win with you, then why would you think that he could win with somebody else? So, yeah, move him within the division if you're going to do it.
I think it's a good idea if you get the return you're looking for. If you have to kind of justify it later on, then walk away, because what you do with a guy like Robert Thomas is you draft him at the age you do, you develop him to become a number 1 center, and then you keep him to build around. So I think I'm more out on the idea of let's trade away Robert Thomas and more let's keep retooling around him and other members of this team. Now, if you do end up trading him away, this goes from a retool to a rebuild, because he is that face of the franchise right now, and if you send him off, it's back to the drawing board.
And one thing I heard is that the Blues went to several players and said, hey, do you want to be part of this? And Thomas said, well, what is this? Because he doesn't know whether it's going to be a 2 or a 4-year rebuild for the Blues. And if they trade him, obviously, then you're looking at longer than 2 years. Baseball, to the surprise of absolutely no one, the Cardinals extended manager Ollie Marmol's contract. He gets 2 years plus a club option for 2029. Marmol went to the playoffs in his first year and then had a really bad season and has floated around 500 with mediocre talent the last couple of years. Is he the answer for the moment, or could the Cardinals have done better? I'm of the opinion that right now, Ollie Marmol is the best guy for the Cardinals. Heading into his 20th year, he knows the organization. He knows what has made the organization successful in the past, and the players really have a great deal of affinity for him. So I think giving him an extension, working through a possible lockout, made all the sense in the world for the Cardinals.
My honest question to fans is, who's better right now? Who's out there that you think you can bring in and say, we get better faster because this guy's the manager of our team? I don't know if that person exists, and there's no guarantee, even if you do have a name out there, that that guy does make it happen for this ball club. Meanwhile, to your point, Randy, you mentioned the relationships Ollie has with these players. They showed up to his press conference. They're bought into him being the manager of this baseball team. He is the right fix for the moment, and as he kind of goes and grows through this 3-year plan, then you can decide in 28, 29 if he should still be in the manager's seat.
And to answer your question, that guy is not out there and available. The only guy you'd take probably is A.J. Hinch, because he's got the World Series championship pedigree and has built a young team and has an ascending team in Detroit, but he's not available. So you go with Ollie Marmol, who's doing the same sorts of things that happened in Detroit to get them to where they are right now. All right, college basketball. Loyola is 7-22 as they come to Chaifetz Arena Wednesday night. SLU is 26-3, 14-2 in the A-10, and unbeaten at home. A win over the Ramblers will give the Billikens the regular season A-10 title. But will that be enough to get the Bills into the NCAA tournament, or is the Atlantic 10 a 1-bid league? I fear that it might be.
I think it's a 2-bid league, even if SLU gets knocked out in the A-10 tournament. This team is too good. They're too high up in the net ranking right now. The season that they've put together is enough for the committee to say, look, it just didn't go right in a short span of time for the Billikens, but they should still be, say, a 13 seed come tournament time. This is still the best 3-point shooting team in the country. They're a top 10 scoring team in the country. They're one above Michigan right now in total points per game that this group puts out there. So, yes, I believe the Atlantic 10 is one that could be a two-bid league as long as SLU is the only team that doesn't come away with the championship.
Here's why I have my fears. Because the exact same thing happened to Josh Schertz at Indiana State 2 years ago. He was in the Valley. He had all of the exact same statistics, and yet somebody else won the Valley tournament, and Indiana State was left out and went to the finals of the NIT. So that's why I worry for St. Louis University. If they lose a game, and they should not lose, by the way, to Loyola. But if they could win the A-10 regular season title, and I could see the NCAA committee doing it because they've done it before, and Miami of Ohio is in a similar situation, unbeaten, and are they going to be in the tournament?
Well, you'd have to think an unbeaten team gets in there. If they don't, what is wrong with college basketball?
Yeah, that's a problem. St. Louis City SC is off to a slow start, 0-1-1. They lost to San Diego on Sunday night. City was outshot 6-2. They host Seattle on Saturday, but not much to hang your hat on in that game for St. Louis City SC. The opener gave us a lot of hope. The second game did not.
Yeah, this is a game, too, where they were missing two of their top players. Marcel Hartle was back here in St. Louis. I believe him and his wife just had another baby, and Leuven was also out with an injury of some kind. So knowing that those two were off the field makes me feel a little bit better about the result, because those are the two guys that you kind of hone in on and say, they're the best two players on this team. But the start needs to be better. It almost looks like what we saw week one won't carry over and become a quick fix. It's going to be maybe a 2-3 month plan for this team to start gelling together so that they can be better on the pitch.
And Edward Leuven is clearly St. Louis's best player. He is undergoing just a horrible circumstance with his wife being as ill as she is. But I think right now, St. Louis City SC has to think about the fact that most times Edward Leuven is not going to be there. You need to get another best player, because I don't think, because of the circumstances, which are totally understandable, I don't think you can plan on him being there. And you need a guy like that if you're St. Louis City SC and you're going to win.
I'd like to see Sangbin become that guy for this group. I'd love to see this team needs better finishers, really. I mean, you can't just rely on Toyshirt and Hartle and Betcher to kind of be those guys for you. You need to know who that guy is to the point that you're making there. Leuven took every free kick. He's the guy that you want to give the ball to. So, yes, you need kind of an understudy of Edward Leuven.
And he has barely played in the last 2 seasons. Again, completely understandable. And when he's there, then he's a bonus to have. But I'm just looking at it from a team success standpoint. You got to worry about the guys that you have, and you can't count on guys that are in those untenable, awful situations. Treat him like an injured player, that maybe he'll be back at some point. And I feel for St. Louis City SC because they're behind an 8 ball. It's hard to find players as good as he is, but at some point, you're going to have to go out and get that guy, because he's not going to be with you forever anyway. All right, and let's take one other point here. Let's look at hockey. With Team USA hero Jack Hughes in town with the Devils on Saturday, the Blues didn't recognize him. They didn't recognize his golden goal from the Olympics. They didn't say, "Congratulations, Jack Hughes," during a break. The crowd apparently wanted to chant USA, 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 and give him a huge ovation. And he did get a huge ovation, by the way, in pregame warmups. But the Blues didn't do anything to honor what he had done, scoring the golden goal the previous Sunday. It's amazing to me that the Blues, and granted, they had Canadian goalie Jordan Binnington on the ice. It's a tough decision, but I think if I were the Blues, being a team based in America, that also had the Kachucks, are they going to, when Brady and Matthew come to town, are they going to not say anything, or are they going to say, "Welcome back to St. Louis, gold medal winners Brady and Matthew Tkachuk"? I think the hero of the team deserves a little bit more than that.
I don't disagree with the fact that fans wanted to be patriotic in that moment. But I will say, I also don't fault the Blues on probably being the only team that won't do this because of Jordan Binnington, because of the connection with the front office, and just knowing that, okay, this is the guy that did you in. It wasn't Brady, it wasn't Matthew, it was Jack Hughes that ended it all. And so, if the pregame warmups was a perfect opportunity for fans to get up on their feet and chant USA, let them do that. That's their right to do that. I would have done that too if I was a St. Louis fan in attendance that night, but I probably side more with the Blues on just kind of taking a step back and saying that's the moment, that's all we're giving him.
Fair question for the Blues game day staff, and it tugs both ways. if your general manager is the general manager of Canada and he's sitting up in a box watching his team play and his Canada team got beat by that guy, are you going to honor that guy that beat your general manager's team?
No.
I think that that's a reasonable thing. All right, so okay, we've come up with an answer for that question. And those are your quick hits here in the fight. Coming up, our buddy Chip Caray is going to join us. He is down in Florida, and of course, you will see him on Saturday here on Matrix Midwest as Cardinals broadcasts continue here during spring training on Matrix Midwest. Chip is next in the fight. It's always good to talk to our friend Chip Caray. He is beyond now a friend of the show. He's one of our guys. He's a part of the show. You will, of course, see Chip this weekend on Saturday as the Cardinals get back to spring training action right here on Matrix Midwest. And you will see Chip. There he is right there. Chip, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
We always enjoy having you on. And let's start with this. The Cardinals' big news is signing Oli Marmol through 2029. They like him a lot. We like him a lot. But what impresses you most about Oli?
I just think the consistency of message, the consistency of the style of play that he's trying to implement, and the fact that he's a player development guy. Look, let's be honest, the Cardinals are going to be in player development at the major league level for the next year and a half or so. And who better to implement that than a guy that's been through all of it that you can as a major league manager? I mean, think about what Ollie's endured or experienced in his first 4 seasons. He had the MV3 guys play their final seasons with St. Louis, won 93 games the year preceding my arrival, then had the 79 or 71 win season, then a little over 500 year 2, and last year again sub 500. And people want to jump all over Oli. Look, what makes a great manager is great players. And 4 years ago, Oli had a whole bunch of them on that roster and that ball club. The Cardinals would be the first to admit they haven't had enough of those the last 3 seasons. But now you've got a guy in place who knows how to develop them, knows how to train them, to mold them and meld them into a style of play that I think we all agree is going to be fun and exciting. And Oli knows these guys very, very well. It makes total sense to keep him. It makes total sense to bring him back. And I think if you give the guy the horses, he's going to show he's a really, really good manager. And one great stat from Bernie Miklasz, first 4 years as Cardinal manager, Oliver Marmol has more wins than Tony La Russa did. And we know how beloved Tony La Russa became as the skipper of the St. Louis Cardinals. In this media crazy, this fast Instagram, Twitter world that we live in, give the man some time to do his work and then make an evaluation of whether he was the right guy for the job. I think he's going to be.
All that being said, you alluded to the fact that fan reaction was mixed over this. What's your message to Cardinals Nation that disagrees with the extension?
I go back to what I said before. Great managers have great players. Bobby Cox, when he was the first manager of the Braves, didn't have enough good players. He got fired, and then Joe Torre took over and finished first, third, and second. Let's remember Joe Torre, all the world championships he won with the Yankees. They ran him out of town in St. Louis. They thought he was part of the problem. Whitey Herzog, his last year, the Cardinals didn't have a very good team. Was Whitey Herzog all of a sudden dumb because he had a losing season? No, of course not. It takes time. What the Cardinals are enduring is the natural cycle of sports, and it's difficult. It's not easy, and we can all argue the timing of it, whether it should have been done earlier or even more than 2 or 3 years earlier. I think the answer to that's probably yes. But at the end of the day, this is the path the Cardinals are embarking on. They have been transparent. They've been open. They have acknowledged what they aren't. They're fixing what they aren't and trying to become a team that we all can be very excited about when October rolls around, because those are the Cardinals teams that we all really, really idolize and enjoy. And let's let it play out. Let's see how it works out. I think they're on the right track with player development. I think they're on the right track with technology. There's a new sheriff in town, and with Heimblum and Oliver Marmol working hand in hand and in tandem, I think that you've got the right leadership in place.
Chip, most days on this show, I talk about the starting pitching because I think so far, and we're only a couple of weeks in, but the starting pitching has looked pretty darn good. You've had a chance to watch the games. You're around the club. What aspect of the Cardinals game, and again, it's early, but what has impressed you the most through the first week of games?
From the pitching standpoint,
Just
I would
overall.
say depth. Oh, well, overall, let's start with the pitching. There's depth. I think that we would all agree the last couple of years, the Cardinals didn't have a lot of options. If someone were to go down or needed a couple of extra days, it really was a crapshoot as to who you would bring up from Memphis to come and pitch here. I don't think that's going to be a problem now. The Cardinals have quality pitchers who can step in and fulfill roles on a one-start basis or even a little bit longer if that's necessary. I think that this team's going to be a lot more athletic than we've seen in the past. They don't have a lot of power, at least not yet. Where are they going to get power? Where are they going to get slug? I think that remains to be seen. We know who we're hoping can provide that. But if they don't, this is a team that's going to have to play kind of whitey ball, in my opinion. Run, create havoc on the base pass, get on base and run. You've got athletic, speedy guys in Weatherholt and Victor Scott and Mason Wynn. Turn these guys loose and let them do their thing on the base pass. And I think that's a brand of baseball that I grew up watching, and I think it's a brand of baseball that our fans would enjoy. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be days that you're going to be scratching your head like, what the heck are these guys doing? But there are also going to be a lot of days in a lot of series where we go, wow, I can see how this is going to work here the next couple of years. And that's the adventure. That's what's going to make this season so fun. You know, the point of the journey is not to arrive. It's to go through it and experience on a day-to-day basis.
Chip, who's caught your attention right away, having you saying, wow, the offseason treated you right?
I would say John Rooney. He looks terrific. I was only down there for a day and a half, so I really haven't, to be honest, I really haven't had a chance to spend a ton of time with guys. But I think Victor Scott's approach is noticeable. He's trying to bunt more. He's trying to use his legs. He's getting more and more comfortable with the kind of player the Cardinals need him to be instead of the kind of player he wants to be. I think the same is true for Mason Wynn. He said so himself at the start of spring training last year. He got kind of caught up in the slug and hit home runs mindset. Mason Wynn is an ideal number 2 hitter for a really, really good major league team. And I could see him in that spot and having a great, great career. He's got enough slug to surprise you, but put the ball in play, hit it hard the other way, and make all the plays defensively. Those 2 guys really jump out at me from an offensive standpoint right away.
Chip, over your career, you have seen some tall left-handers that have really found themselves at the major league level. And Matthew Liberatore told our Tamar Scher that he's added a cutter to his repertoire. If he can employ that pitch and make it worthwhile, how can that change his results?
Well, it's just another weapon that hitters have to worry about. He's got great stuff. I mean, you think back to that game in Tampa Bay a couple of years ago, you know, the 8-inning performance against the team that drafted him, and you see what's in the tank. Again, as I said before, we live in the Instagram world where we want instant results. That's not how this works. And when you watch the evolution of a guy like Matthew Liberatore, I go back to my experience in Atlanta. Look at Tom Glavine's record the first 2 or 3 years in the major leagues, and then look at what happened. I'm not saying that Matthew Liberatore is going to be Tom Glavine. What I am saying is that the evolution and the process of becoming a major league starting player, whether it be a position player, pitcher, or a bullpen guy, it takes time. And Matthew Liberatore, I think, is starting to take that next step to where the Cardinals have a chance to have something really, really special on that mound. And not just him, but a whole host of left-handed pitching that's coming, which is really exciting.
When I asked that question, I was actually thinking about Max Fried, because he's a guy that had to get on an upward trajectory, and it took a while.
Yeah, I had Tommy John surgery, and he was too soft and too quiet and too reserved. What I can tell you about Max Fried is this: if you make him mad, he turns into Sandy Koufax. He's a guy that really gets that steel spine and says, "Show me, okay, I'm going to show you." And I see some of that in Matthew Liberatore too. And all of that comes with experience. All of that comes with having some success, and all of that comes with knowing that you have earned a spot in the major leagues. And to me, that's what's so exciting about our jobs, right? You see guys get their first chance, and that's a wonderful moment when you think of all the little league bus rides and mom packing Kool-Aid for the team and all that stuff. Well, then they get to the show and they stay, and then they get to the show and they struggle and they overcome that, and then they become a regular and a starter and a star and an all-star. I don't know what the trajectory is for Matthew Liberatore, but I think we all agree he's a big league player, and the more of those kinds of players the Cardinals continue to acquire, the faster this turnaround is going to come.
Chip, when Sandy Alcantara was traded to the Marlins, he instantly became the team's 3rd best prospect. Similar situation here with Jurangelo Cijntje becoming the team's number 4 prospect. Would you say his ceiling is at, higher, or below what Alcantara's was when he was dealt?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I've seen Gerangelo throw on tape. I've not seen him live. Obviously, the stuff is there. Obviously, the uniqueness of what he can do is intriguing to everybody. And I don't think it's fair for a young guy who's never pitched in the major leagues to have, oh, you're the next Sandy Alcantara or Sandy Koufax or any of that stuff. Go out and be the best you can be. And he's going to get an opportunity at whatever level in the minor leagues he's going to start to go out and be the kind of pitcher the Cardinals think he's going to be. With the player development guys, with all the technology that they've added, all the below the waterline stuff that maybe isn't sexy to the casual fan. But those are things that are really going to help guys like that take that next step and take that step very, very quickly. And as we said, this is all about timing. The more prospects you have, right, the wider the net you cast, the bigger the haul you can bring in. And that's what the Cardinals have done with Saintja. We all hated to lose Brendan Donovan. He is the kind of guy that if the Cardinals were a little further into this buildup, would say, we want 9 guys just like him. But to get something good, you got to give up something good. And that's exactly what happened. And I can't wait to see what Gerangelo and all the other youngsters that we've acquired this offseason get a chance to do. That's going to be really fun.
One of the things about baseball in 2026 is that you don't need just an 8-man bullpen. You need about a dozen guys, right, that can pitch down there, and then you shuttle guys through. Some will be at Memphis some days, some guys will be up here some days. That's just the way it works because starters aren't giving you a ton of innings. And that's one of the things I'm excited about with this team too, Chip, is seeing who the guys are that kind of make the name for themselves and stick and get off of that shuttle between here and Memphis.
Yeah, and that goes back to the depth I was talking about earlier. The Cardinals haven't had that for a while. And look, Randy, we're old enough to remember a time where pitchers got to the major leagues, and where did they do their apprenticeship? In the bullpen, right? They learned how to pitch in the bullpen. They learned how to come in high leverage or low leverage spots. They didn't have to worry about 6 or 7 get up and get downs. They learned how to pitch out there first before they got into the major leagues. And the most amazing stat for me of the Cardinals last year was they didn't lose a single inning to a starting pitcher injury last year. That's a great credit to Ollie and Dusty Blake and the team's training staff. But that comes with having depth. The Cardinals have that now, and it wouldn't surprise me to see guys shuttle both between the rotation and the bullpen, for a spot start or long relief stints, or go down to Memphis, take your turn, and then come back in 5 days so the Cardinals can employ a hybrid 6-man rotation. Depth is the key to your point, Randy. The Cardinals now have some more of that, and they're working to build that every single day this spring.
Chip, a good work ethic is contagious. It kind of bleeds rather, into the quiet leader territory. Who is that guy on this team? Who can lead by example for these young players?
Yeah, Andrew, that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch, right? The guys that have been here a while certainly have the biggest opportunity to do that, but leadership is done in a lot of different ways. Paul Goldschmidt was not a guy that stood on top of the table in the middle of the clubhouse and banged a bat on the side, said, hey, guys, we need to do this. He led by example. He saw something, he'd quietly say something privately. There are other guys that are a lot more vocal. Wilson Contreras was a guy that was not afraid to say something that was on his mind. I think the concept of leadership is important, but only in the sense of you're leading the right way and you're leading toward a common goal, which is we, not me. And I think this group is really relishing the opportunity to grow together, really relishing the opportunity to create their own identity and carry the Cardinals brand forward. And they want to find out who's going to be part of this crew that's going to be the next playoff team and hopefully World Series team that we all get to enjoy. There's some pieces in place that are there. Mason Wynn certainly comes to mind. Alec Burleson certainly comes to mind. I think Michael McGreevy, in a quiet kind of a quiet way, has a chance to be one of those kinds of guys. But that's up to those guys to anoint themselves leaders of the team. Leaders usually present themselves. They're not anointed by people in the media or the fans. But leadership comes from winning. And I think the sooner these guys start to win, the sooner those leaders will present themselves.
Chip, you brought up a couple of my favorite subjects during the course of this interview. Number one, where's the power going to come from? And number two, Whitey ball. And I know people are tired of hearing about Jordan Walker, but Jordan Walker hits the ball so hard that he could be, once he reaches his peak, he could be a Jack Clark type power guy, I think. And that I'm really excited about him getting a chance to play a lot of games in a row, doesn't have to worry about being sent down. I know that you've watched him a lot for the last couple of years. What do you think that he could become?
The sky's the limit. I mean, the kid's 23 years old. Again, this is the kind of guy you don't give up on. To your point about hitting the ball hard, that's great. He doesn't hit it enough, and he'd be the first guy that says that. I don't care where he hits it. I want or how he hits it. I just want him to hit it. And I think that there have been a lot of swing changes, a lot of self-reflection for Jordan this offseason. This is a big year for him. It's a big year for him. It's a big year for Nolan Gorman. Heck, it's a big year for all of these guys that are getting a chance to play virtually every day in the major leagues for the Cardinals. They're going to find out pretty quickly who's going to fit, who's going to work, and who's not. And by work, I don't mean ethic. I'm talking about who's going to fit into the long-term plans here. Jordan Walker is that big right-hand hitting bat in the middle of the order that potentially every team would salivate to have a chance to deploy on a day-to-day basis. But, he's been in the league now for parts of 3 years, and the results, I think we would all agree, for the most part, haven't been what anybody had hoped or would expect. So, again, we sell hope. Hopefully, these swing changes will take place. Hopefully, Jordan will find the magic elixir that makes him that everyday guy in the middle of the lineup that you can pencil in. And if that happens, let's just say if we're going to think wishfully of a Burleson, Walker, Gorman trio, all of whom hit 25 or more home runs, well, all of a sudden you've got the middle of an order that a lot of teams would be very, very envious of having because they're all young and controllable.
Absolutely.
All right, Chip, 30 seconds here. What do you think of the new Coca-Cola Unlimited package for fans in Big Mac Land this season? Did you see that?
I would weigh 700 pounds by the end of the season. I think it's great. I love it. I love the fact that the Cardinals are reaching out and doing things that are fan-friendly. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Come grow with us, man. This is a great time to be a Cardinal fan because the superstars of the future are going to be showing up on a day-to-day basis in our ballpark. And these fans have been so great for so many decades of Cardinals baseball. Come out and see these guys. Come out and cheer them on. That encouragement means a lot to young players. It means a lot to all of us. And we hope that starting March 26th, Busch Stadium is crowded, it's lively, and most of all, it's fun and filling.
Okay, so if you guys are doing a game on Cardinals.tv, or Matrix Midwest, you're doing it from the front row of Big Mac Land where the unlimited food is. Question, does Chip wear a shirt during the broadcast of a day game?
Yeah, because even I don't want to see this body. So if they could give me a Cardinals burqa, that might be better than just a shirt. But yeah, well, we're looking forward to maybe doing some broadcasts from different places during the season at the ballpark. My personal favorite would be where the DeWitts sit, right by the on-deck circle. I'd love to sit down there and have conversations with our players. And I think that's something we're looking forward to, guys. We're going to have a lot more access. We're going to have a lot more opportunities to bring these guys home to our fans so they get to know them as people, not just players. And as I said before, that's one of the best parts of the job.
Chip, we love you. Thanks so much for the time, and looking forward to having you and BT on the air here on Matrix Midwest on Saturday for another Cardinals.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. We'll see you on Saturday.
You bet, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chip.
Cheers, guys.
That is the TV voice of the Cardinals, Chip Caray, and you check out Cardinals.tv. Just go to Cardinals.com and find out how you can get televised games in 2026 and beyond. Coming up in the list, what Cardinals we want to see bounce back for other teams this season. That's next in The Fight. It's time for the list, and Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Wilson Contreras, and Brendan Donovan are all having fantastic springs in the early going. But who is the former Cardinal we'd most like to see have a good year in 2026? That is the list. And Andrew, I'm going to start with Jack Flaherty. He could have been awesome with the Cardinals had he stayed healthy, but he didn't. Last year, for the playoff-bound Tigers, Flaherty made 31 starts, his most since 2019, and had 188 strikeouts, ninth in the American League, in 161 innings. But he also led the league with 15 losses. I'd love to see Jack have a healthy year, and with Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez and Justin Verlander and Casey Mize, he can just kind of lurk in the background and have another great year. I could see him winning a lot of games for Detroit. I don't know if he'll ever be what we expected he'd be when he had his second half in 2019, one of the best halves of any starting pitcher in MLB history. He'll get the chance to be great, though. Let's see if it happens in Detroit.
The beauty is he doesn't have to be an ace. The Cardinals wanted him to be an ace at some point, and now when he's back, behind Tarek Skubal, it's pretty easy to just say, all right, you can be a number 2 or a number 3, possibly a number 4 as you kind of work back. I'm right there with you. I've always been a huge Jack Flaherty fan. I love the way that he's carried himself. I love his just overall work ethic, and I also really like guys that kind of have those comeback of the year moments, and he's been riddled with injuries, so I really want to see him kind of be healthy for a full year.
And you see the stuff. The stuff is still there.
Nasty.
It's just a matter of getting out on the mound.
All right, my number 3. I'm genuinely rooting for Ryan Helsley to have a monster season in Baltimore because after being traded to the New York Mets, he never really got the chance to live up to the hype, which selfishly worked out great for the Cardinals, but was brutal for his own legacy. The Mets didn't help him at all by stuffing him into a bullpen with 3 different closers and acting like roles didn't matter, like I just don't even know what we're doing here. But now he's in Baltimore, a place where he'll actually be treated like the clear number 1 option. He has Andrew Kittredge setting him up just like the old days. And I honestly just want to see the flamethrower unleashed again. Full confidence, 9th inning, lights out.
And you see the great slider. Well, one of the things that happened to Ryan Helsley last year is that opposing hitters hit about 400 off of his fastball. And when you're throwing 100 miles an hour, that shouldn't happen. The first thing the Orioles did was teach him a cutter. We talked with Chip about Matthew Liberatore learning a cutter. If he gets that cutter over with Baltimore and still has the 100 miles an hour and has that slider, he could be lethal once again.
Yeah, good closers aren't 2-pitch guys. They just aren't. You have to be a 3-pitch guy.
Yeah. All right, my number 2, one of my favorite players of recent vintage with the Cardinals has been Harrison Bader. He's bounced around a lot since the Cardinals traded him to the Yankees. He's been to the Reds and the Mets, the Twins and the Phillies. But this offseason, the Giants needed a great defensive center fielder to patrol that big center field at Oracle Park, and they signed Bader to a 2-year deal. That's an interesting team. Rafael Devers at first, Luis Arraez, Willie Adames, Matt Chapman is at third, Elio Ramos, Patrick Bailey behind the plate. Plus, they have Logan Webb and Robbie Ray and Adrian Hauser. And Harrison's job there is going to be to play great defense. He was terrific for Philadelphia offensively. I don't know if he'll be a great offensive player in the ballpark in San Francisco, but he's going to have a great time playing in that park. Tony Vitello likes his defense, and Bader can be a star in the Bay Area. All he needs to do is keep making plays like this. If he keeps doing this, they're going to love him in San Francisco, and they've got enough offense that he can just keep doing that.
He's just such a fun player to cheer for. And you're right, defensively, he is going to make his money. Offensively, I'm actually kind of shocked his numbers haven't really taken off like they did in the minor leagues here with the Cardinals and gotten just much better because he was one of the top prospects in this organization. He was one of my kind of guys that I was most excited about because he could hit the long ball. The bat just didn't really carry over to Major League Baseball like we wanted it to, but the glove has been far better than I think we ever could have dreamed of watching him.
A couple of anecdotes. Number 1, defensively, Bill DeWitt Jr. has a house in Jupiter, and he'll go and watch the A-ball teams play, the Florida State League teams. And one time he was watching the Florida State League team down there, and he goes to his coaching staff and said, hey, why is this guy in left field that went to the University of Florida, why is he playing left and not center? He's got a center field skill set. The reason that Harrison Bader got moved to center field from left is that Bill DeWitt suggested it. So that's one thing. Here's another thing. You talk about the offense. Don't you think Harrison Bader was as much a victim of what was happening in the Cardinals system as the other guys that we're talking about?
He absolutely was.
Yeah, he just didn't have the instruction that was necessary for him to become the offensive player that he was capable of being.
I remember watching games in Springfield and saying, this guy is the next big thing. And you're right, it just all kind of fell apart once he got to AAA, to the pros, and it's on a silver platter for us all to eat off of now. We know what the situation was like for these guys. All right, my number 2. This was one of those moves where you hate to see him go more than you actually hate the idea of him staying because I get why the Cardinals dealt Brendan Donovan, but I'm really just going to miss that grit, the attitude, and do everything versatility in St. Louis. At the same time, I'm genuinely excited for him to chase a ring because at 29 years old, he's not getting any younger. And the Mariners were right there last year. He could be the missing piece that pushes them from great to elite. You just look at that lineup. Seattle traded for him like he's that guy, and now I'm rooting for him to prove himself because if he doesn't, Mariners fans can be ruthless here, and they're not going to let him hear the end of it bit, knowing that they got rid of a bunch of prospects just to bring in a utility player that has a lot more than utility upside. But this is Brendan Donovan's chance to really go chase that ring, and I'm excited for him.
And they needed a leadoff hitter. He's going to move to third base. Eugenio Suarez played third down the stretch. They didn't have any real production last year from third base, so he'll provide that. And that's a really good lineup. They've got a lot of good players, and I would think that if you're looking for a 100-run scorer for your fantasy team in 2026, Brendan Donovan is a good place to start.
Because he gets on base. That guy's always on base. In fact, he's really always on second base more than he's on any other base.
Yeah, but you look at Naylor, and you look at Rodriguez, and you look at Crawford, and you look at
Cal Raleigh.
Cal Raleigh. They're loaded with power behind him. So they've got a lot of good things happening in Seattle. All right, my number one is Goldie. And Paul Goldschmidt came to the Cardinals to win. He didn't think he had a chance in Arizona. He loved the vibe and the history around the Cardinals. He won an MVP here through absolutely no fault of his own. Goldie didn't come to a place where they had a chance to win at all. He could have gone back to Arizona this offseason, but his desire to win took him back to the Yankees. At the age of 37, I'd love to see him have a bounce-back year and win it all. New York might get off to a bad start. Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon are still coming back, and they'll start the season on the shelf, but they have a chance to be good, and it'd be great to see Goldie get his time in the limelight because he deserves it. I hope he bounces back big time, and he's in the perfect ballpark to do so.
And they're talking about him being the starting first baseman on opening day. I think that's a smart decision for plays like this. He can really defend over at the corner, and if his bat can at least be, above average this season, the Yankees are really going to like what they get out of Paul Goldschmidt.
He can hit 25 homers and put him in the right spot. He's a good clutch hitter, and obviously we're seeing the defense here. There are a lot of things to like about Goldie in New York.
I think we all kind of share my number one. When Nolan Arenado first came to St. Louis, I remember thinking, holy cow, we just landed the best third baseman in baseball. Instant World Series contender vibes, right? For the Cardinals, we were thinking that right away. And for a couple of seasons, it looked like, we could show him what winning baseball looked like after coming over from the Rockies, especially in 2022. But, it just didn't ever fully come together. The roster just wasn't strong enough to go the distance. And eventually it reached a tough point where moving on made more sense than forcing one more year out of it. Now, I honestly just hope he gets that real World Series shot because the Diamondbacks absolutely have the talent to make it happen, even if they're stuck battling through one of the toughest divisions in baseball.
And I think one of the things that Nolan Arenado ran into here as he got older is this is a really hard ballpark in St. Louis to hit home runs in. Obviously, Colorado, it's not difficult. In Arizona, it's easier than it is in St. Louis, although it's not quite Colorado. But he'll provide great defense for them. Hopefully, he'll be that leader by example that they need in Arizona. And I think that he can have a representative year and help them win a lot of games. I'm with you. I hope that he does well there too.
I think these 6 guys are the perfect list for having great years in 2026.
No doubt about it. That's our list. Coming up, we're going to build a parlay for you here in The Fight. Hey guys, I need to talk to you about your heart. If you were just out going for a walk over the weekend in the nice weather and experienced any chest pain at all, sure, it might be nothing. Could be heartburn, could be GERD, but many years ago, I was going for those walks, feeling those symptoms and a little clicking in my chest, thinking it was nothing. Then finally, I went to my doctor at St. Luke's, did a stress test, and found out that I had multiple massive blockages in my arteries around my heart. If I hadn't gone to St. Luke's, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. But my doctors were patient and calm and explained what was going on. And throughout the process, from my primary doctor to the tech that administered my stress test to my cardiologist and my surgeon, I had complete confidence because I was at St. Luke's and they did a great job. And I'm still here, obviously. Of course, now they have even more incredible technology to get you through the process if you have a cardiac event. And they partnered with the Cleveland Heart and Vascular Clinic, so you have state-of-the-art diagnosis and care. Every day we like to build a parlay. Andrew makes a bet, I make a bet, and hopefully we win. And sometimes we're pretty conservative, and sometimes we like to roll the dice a little bit. And today I have decided to roll the dice a little bit. Our Lindenwood Lions are playing in the Ohio Valley Conference
Not in football.
tournament. but not in football. But I just wanted to show you the logo and let you know that Lindenwood is playing D1 for a shot at the big dance, and they're plus 1,600 to win the OVC. Boom.
I love it.
Go Lions. Well, emotional bet. Might be a roll of the dice, but what the heck? Put $10 on the Lions. Let's see what happens.
And those emotional bets sometimes are the best because if you didn't make this bet, how bad would you feel if Lindenwood did it?
They win, yeah. So, yeah, $10 on Lindenwood. Go Lions.
All right, I'm going to focus on Arch Madness here. So we're going to stay in town just like Randy did with the Lions. But as I kind of look across the Missouri Valley, I know on Monday morning I talked about Illinois State being kind of that sleeper team, preseason favorite. Belmont being the team that everybody is probably picking right now. But not a lot of people are talking about Northern Iowa, Randy. Northern Iowa was the preseason number 2 team. They're treated as such going into the tournament as well. I really like late how they've been playing as a team, and they have some good wins under their belt. Give me Northern Iowa to get back there.
All right, I like this. Let's put this bet together.
So we did
nice little parlay.
This is a 2-pick parlay at 9-6-7-5. So if we put $100 on that, it's going to pay out a ton of money. That's almost $10,000.
That's a good one. I like that a lot. Oh, let's win. Let's win, baby. There you have it. That is
Starts
our
and ends
parlay.
in St. Louis.
Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It, Story Time with Uncle Randy, and Today in Sports History here in The Fight. It's time for Take It or Leave It. And Andrew, USA Today ran a list of the 50 best minor league baseball towns in America, and none of the cities that are home to Cardinal minor league affiliates made the list. Take it or leave it. If Springfield, Missouri isn't on a top 50 minor league towns list, that list is flawed.
Yeah, I'll take that. I like where Hammons Field is. I like what
Awesome.
Springfield, Missouri has to offer. And, I mean, they're the home of Bass Pro Shop. Like, there's just a lot there.
They got great golf.
They have great golf.
The ballpark is fantastic. It's the team is really friendly. They do everything right. So I'm taking this too.
And I love the fact that Mo State plays at Hammons Field.
Yeah,
it's just kind of
that's
like
pretty cool.
how Creighton plays at the home of the College World Series. Like,
cool.
that's just a magical feeling
That's
in
great.
itself.
Yeah.
Okay, Randy, mine for you is this. So I'm going to show you a video as I read this. So an odd situation unfolded in overtime between UConn and number 19 UMass. Game tied 3-3, minute 48 left. And on a counterattack here comes UConn. And the lights go out.
Oh. Oh, no.
So I don't know if game day personnel thought, hey, they scored. UMass scored. That's why I hit the like button. Or take it or leave it. It might have been on purpose. So take it or leave it. This was an accident. Was this an accident?
Yeah. No chance.
Yeah, this was
no
an
way.
accident until it wasn't. So
Yeah.
I am totally leaving it as well. There's no way that after hitting the lights, because all you did was put the spotlights on it first, right? The red spotlights were going, and then you just shut the lights off on a 2-on-1?
It's pretty amazing.
And then guess who won? Well, I guess the game officially ended in a tie because of college hockey rules, but UMass won in the shootout.
Terrible. All right, that is Take It or Leave It. Now it's time for Story Time with Uncle Randy. We're going to get a decade, we're going to get a sport, and then I will recall a story for you.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, are we going to look at the 2010s?
2010s. Okay.
2010 to 2019 is when
good.
this occurred, and we're going to come
say
up
a good decade.
with a sport for you. Yeah, it was a good decade. All right, here we go. 2010s.
Oh,
We've
basketball.
got 2010 to 2019 basketball.
Okay.
Okay. This will be fun. Okay, so let's do a team that I didn't think was going to win in 2004. We're going to talk,
2010s.
and yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, so 2010 to 2019.
Right.
Okay, so now I have to come up with a completely different story for you,
You were ready.
which I will do. So you know what we're going to do is we will go to 2012.
Okay.
And we will go to the We Have Faith and Hate, Mizzou Tigers.
Oh, no.
Okay? Yeah, Marcus Denman and that gang, right? That was a pretty good team in 2012.
Yes, it was.
They should have won a tournament game, but they didn't. And was this Norfolk State? I believe it was.
2012, number 2 seed.
Yeah, number 2 seed Mizzou taking on Norfolk State, and I believe it was like March 17th of 2012. First round of the tournament, you're thinking, okay, this is a great Mizzou team. They're going to go somewhere. They lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And, you know, I was a fan of Frank Haith's coaching, and obviously he had a super talented team. But that team, everything just fell apart, and they lost. That was Kim English's last team too.
Kim English, it was the Pressey brothers.
Yeah, and it just fell apart for them in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And again, we were all disappointed. Mizzou's had a few of those. In fact, Northern Iowa, who we just brought up, beat Mizzou in a first-round game where Mizzou was a high seed as well. So, yeah, even though you win 31 games and you're a top seed, doesn't mean you're going to win in the tournament, and Mizzou proved that to us in 2012.
At least it could be worse than losing to a 15, right? Because two 16 seeds have won in the tournament.
Yeah.
UMBC, Fairleigh Dickinson, so Virginia and Purdue have worse losses than the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, so, yeah, rugged. All right, time now for this date in sports history. And what a big date this is. 1990-91, Brett Hull set the record for the Blues with 86 goals. Still the all-time record for a winger, and probably always will be the record for a wing in the NHL. But on this date, he became a 70-goal scorer for the second straight season. His 3 assists helped the Blues earn a 4-4 tie in Philly. And of course, Hully, as we mentioned, finished with 86 goals that year. One of the all-time great seasons, and what a great night in Philly. The Blues historically have not had a high level of success. Doesn't look very happy about scoring his 70th goal, does he? By the way,
internally he's singing Gloria, though. Glory, Gloria.
Yeah. That was just such an amazing season, because you think about it, in an 82-game year, a guy scoring 86 goals, he basically scored a goal every single game.
Yeah, that's nuts. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and he was great. And, you know, that team, and they made a trade at the deadline where they basically traded their second line, Cliff Ronning, Jeff Cortnell, Sergio Momesso, along with a defenseman by the name of Robert Dirk. They traded those 4 and got Garth Butcher and Dan Quinn, a second line center back. And the team was never the same after that. You don't trade your second line from a team that is in first or second in the league and expect it to be the same. And it just wasn't. And so that team, Scott Stevens was on that team, of course. Brendan Shanahan was a 50-goal scorer for that team. That team, if they would have kept it together, I think would have had a much better chance of succeeding in the playoffs, because Minnesota, the Minnesota North Stars, they just took Hull and Oates away. They cross-checked the daylights out of Brett Hull in that series, and they weren't able to win. So that kind of a wasted 86-goal season in terms of their level of playoff success.
Who was the guy with his helmet off in that
Harold
celebration?
Snepps.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the last guys to not wear a helmet in the NHL.
Isn't that
yeah, bald-headed, big old.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if he could get away with that, or if he got checked and the helmet just came off.
He did not have a helmet, so that was pretty great.
Oh my!
He was a fun guy to have on the team, Harold Snepps, and that's what happened on this day in sports history. Hully with number 70 in '91.
Good for him.
We do have, as we mentioned with Chip Caray, our next Cardinal telecast Saturday from Florida. It'll be great to have the Redbirds back on Matrix Midwest. We've got a total of 7 more Cardinal Spring telecasts for you here on Matrix Midwest.
Crazy.
Yep, and we're on every day. We're on here. We're on the Matrix Midwest app, 5 o'clock, 10 p.m., and then at 7 in the next morning. And now the podcast is on First Alert 4 on YouTube, on Roku, on Apple TV, and on Fire TV. And don't forget to participate in the fight. Go to matrixmidwest.com, use the Character and Company drop-down and sign up to be in the fight. And we will tape you. Great job as always, sir.
And great job by you.
Thanks to Andrew. Thanks to our great director, the one and only Tyler Klaus. Thanks to Chip for joining us. And thanks for tuning in as always. For Andrew and everybody else, have a great day, and we'll see you next time here in The Fight.